Welcome, everyone. We're happy that you've joined us for another Silicon Labs Talking Tech podcast. In this episode, we're going to take some time to help you understand why you should join the Silicon Labs community on scilabs.com. It's important for any listener to learn about the benefits of this growing resource. So we're glad that you're here today. So to provide answers to some of the common questions that you may have, I've invited Kaisa Belloni and Tom Nordman. Kaisa is the senior community manager at Silicon Labs. And so Kaisa is primarily focused on making sure that all of you have the answers and you understand the value of the community. Tom Nordman, he's a marketing manager in our home and life IoT group. And he's joined us in the past. So he's joined us. He has a lot of familiarity with the community. Thanks to both of you for joining us today.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks, Kyle.
All right. Well, before I jump into the questions, I just wanted to highlight to our listeners why we're having this podcast. We recently have invested a ton of resources and time into the scilabs.com community. So it seemed like perfect timing to draw your attention to this larger audience. Why don't we start with you, Tom, since you've been here before? Why don't you share with the listeners what at the core has changed with the new Silicon Labs community?
Yes, Kyle. When we were looking at the behavior of the developers over a couple of years, and we realized a lot of people want to have a help instantly for their questions. So the community is the place where a lot of people nowadays go and find instantly answers to their support questions, or just insights from the technology, researching things, or just finding insights from the other users. That's a fantastic place to go. When we kind of realized that where the developers are going, we kind of wanted to onboard with the best platform there is on the market. So basically, pretty much everything is top notch at the moment. All the look and feel. What I like the most is the super clean navigation for the products, and especially the search functions. And you can instantly, if you go and navigate on the some of the products and try to, for example, for the Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, you can see what are the kind of latest questions instantly over there, what are the industry insights through the blogs and things like that. So it's the top-notch platform.
All right, so we changed platforms. Our older platform maybe didn't have a lot of these features with a fresh look. So we invested in a new platform. And so now, like you mentioned, I go to a lot of communities when I want to find out information, and it's refreshing to see responses from other customers, other people who are having issues, but also important to make sure that you're getting responses from those internal resources. So it looks like we have a top-notch platform, like you said. And now, why don't we talk a little bit about what's changed? You started to allude to it, but maybe Kaisa, why don't you talk about what you've seen as the biggest change to the community that we have now?
Sure. So what is most visible to the users of the community is of course the fact that we are not anymore on the red planet, but the look and feel, like Tom also mentioned, is now aligned with the rest of Silicon Labs web pages. But that's of course only the surface and something that is very visible. But a lot has changed under the hood. And that's where a lot of the power from this change comes from. So it really gave us the ability to future-proof our customer service also for future. So we have a lot of possibilities in this new platform to connect with the different systems that we are using to serve our customers and to improve some of the internal workflows. And of course, this might sound like, well, what's that to the community user who is not an internal person, but in the end, it does give us the ability to go more towards the 360 view of what's happening with our customers and what are the interactions, and in that way help us provide a smoother customer experience with Silicon Labs.
What about you, Tom? You think anything else that has been changed?
There is one big thing that I like a lot are these groups that can be also set up around the special activities. These are very nice way to kind of even for customers to collaborate for the very specific topics. Then we introduce also the applications section. So not just product view, but the application section is over there. We are gradually building up those, gradually building up more content. Also the functions on that our customers can also publish stuff over there is something that they can also share their experience and even promote their experience to our customers if they have consultation company like that. So it's a true community where you can do business and get to be helped.
Yeah, getting help, and sort of going back to what Kaisa said as well, I think it's super important for the customers to know that our platform is aligned with our other tools within Silicon Labs, because that's when they get the response time. That's when a post on the community is immediately observed by our applications teams. It's that kind of integration that if you don't have, it becomes obvious. As you said, it almost is like it's the red planet. It seems like you're posting in a community and nobody knows about it, or it's not aligned with the website and some of the material on the website. So now that it's in a system that's closely aligned, you're not only getting better service, you're seeing the content aligned with other content on the website. So it's absolutely something that's going to help the customers get, a better experience, as you mentioned, Kaisa and Tom. So the question I have, and I kind of talked about it just then, was when a customer goes to the community and they put in a question into the different areas on the community, who's interacting with them? Is this strictly a community for customers, or are they going to get service from the internal factory resources?
Well, of course, we hope that the customers support also each other. So it's one of the powers of the community is that it's not only relying on what we know. There are a lot of experts out there who are also very knowledgeable and have plenty of experience. So very important for that experience to be in a common place where it can be shared. So that's a lot of the power of the community. But like you said, it's not that we only rely on other users to provide the information, but we do also closely monitor what is happening in our community and provide answers when needed, and kind of step into the discussion and contribute to that. Especially the products section, which is the home for technology and product related questions and issues. These are understandably critical for our customers to get the answers in a reasonable time frame, and those are the forums and area that also our applications team is constantly monitoring. And then also in the other areas, in the blog commenting and as well as in the application area where discussions can happen, we also keep a close eye on those, of course.
Yeah, there are a couple of really active internal persons and really top-notch experts are helping. Everybody who is going to go over there can find instantly answers. For example, pain points when they play with the latest Bluetooth SDK. There are answers already there. And if you don't find something by navigating, you can search things, and it's very powerful. And our experts also verify answers. So these verified answers are the kind of a very good way to you to see your pin answers. So you can always see that which are verified, pinned, and that's awesome on the new community. Yeah,
and I think having that being pinned and verified is important. But I like when I go to a community to see that chatter from the customers. I think that validates the answers, it validates the questions, and so it's really sort of a truth serum, right? You can't post a verified question without potentially having someone in the community saying, well, if you look at it this way, it could be an alternative answer. And it makes the questions a little bit better answered, right? So I think it's great that we have the applications team focused on the community, but I just think that the strength and the growth in the community is going to come from all of our listeners and our customers going in and really adopting it and making it their own. So
absolutely, and if I may still comment on that, Kyle, so naturally the members are the salt of the community, and really what either makes it or breaks it. So not only in the sense of providing the support to each other, but also in general in creating the lively can-do atmosphere into the community, and that's super important. And we of course try our best to enable a system that makes that easy, but also rely on the members to indicate which content was useful, which posts added value, and use the likes to show that, because that's also, like you said, value to the other users as well. And when you get an answer to your question, do indicate by selecting an answer as best that, hey, this was the one that worked for me, because that's all information that then adds value to the other users as well.
Absolutely. So you talked a little bit about some of the parts of this, the community, but why don't you go in a little bit more detail? Are there a couple hidden gems where, you know, I've been to the community, maybe I haven't seen some of the places that you think would really be valuable to our visitors? Why don't you talk about a couple of the areas of the community beyond the products that you already touched on?
Yeah, well, clearly the product section is the one where we have at the moment most of the action. That's kind of legacy from our previous community, which was very much focused on product and technology support. But now that we also want to, in a way, make sure that the community serves also a little bit wider purpose than only that, I do encourage people to get to know the applications area and kind of be brave in asking also questions which are maybe not so product problem related, but really discuss the challenges there are in taking your business into IoT and adopting the new technologies, because I'm sure that there are also a lot of people who are tackling with those questions, and they might not be the developer community and the maker community who are tackling with those questions. But I think it's quite important that our community supports also the marketeers and the business decision makers with their challenges.
Yeah, too often we get wrapped around the registers or the the pin IO of a chip, and we don't talk about the higher level, like how is it being used, or how are you tackling this problem with the application, versus always looking at the software or the SoC. So yeah, have our listeners look at the application would be a great place for them to get more value out of the community.
Hey Kyle, there is also very cool blogs over there if you want to industry insights and things like that. I like to read those quite a bit.
Yeah, the blogs, they're also referencing content that's on the website, as we talked about earlier, coupling with the Silicon Labs or scilabs.com. And so allowing people to get that information, talk about it in the community is valuable, but also referring to other resources that are valuable that the community's found useful for them to solve their own questions. So yeah, check out the blogs. That would be perfect. To end our podcast, I'd love for you, Kaisa, maybe just to talk to the listeners about how they should get started. If there's any things they should not forget, or things that when they get started, they should take advantage of.
Yeah, so really just log into the community. You can either access it through scilabs.com, through the learning and support section, or just navigate directly to community.scilabs.com. And if you had a profile in the old community, so you don't need to register again, in that case, you can use your old login information. But I do recommend you to go check your username that has not migrated due to data privacy regulations. So that's something that the user has to change themselves. And if you don't have an account yet, or if you didn't have an account in the old community, then please log into the addresses mentioned and register. And important to know that, of course, you do not need to be a Silicon Labs customer, at least not yet, to register to the community.
Terrific. Well, I'll put the link in the podcast description. So those that are listening that haven't already taken advantage of the community, please take the time, click the link and join it and provide us feedback. I know if you provide input, Kaisa and the team will definitely get back to you and respond. And we want the community to be grown on your requests. So definitely provide your feedback.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks, Tom, and thanks, Kaisa, for joining us for our podcast today. I think it was helpful, short and sweet, helping people understand, what they can learn within our community at scilabs.com.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thanks, Carl. See you at the community.
I'll see you at the community. That's great, Tom. For our listeners, we appreciate you taking the time to listen to our podcasts. We will continue to provide you podcasts to better understand the applications and the solutions that Silicon Labs provides. Until our next podcast, everyone, stay safe.